Hello my beautiful YouTube friends. Today I'm here to review Looking for Alaska by John Green. Now this was my first John Green novel. The story is about Miles Halter, who is a great lover of famous last words. And at the beginning of this story, he's actually all set to go to boarding school the next day. The boarding school is Culver Creek, and his father actually went there. And unlike most protagonists in stories and in movies and TV shows who are forced to go to boarding school and hate it, Miles has actually made this decision himself. He read this quote once of someone's last words where they stated that they were in search of this great perhaps. It really resonated with Miles, and because of it he decided to apply to Culver Creek. He got accepted and he's ready to go there in search of his great perhaps. And his parents aren't happy about it, but they're not going to stop him. When he gets there, he's looking for adventure and to put away his boring home life and his non-existent high school career. But unfortunately things just continue on the exact same way they were when he was living at home. The only thing that is different is he's living in a dorm room with no air conditioning. At least until his roommate Colonel takes him under his wing and introduces him to his group. And his group includes two other people, Takumi and Alaska Young. Now, with regards to John Green's stories, I've always thought they had three main things that drew people in, but I didn't know what it was exactly. The characters, the writing, and just the format of the storytelling. So, when you think about storytelling, you kind of think chapters, right? Interesting thing though is John Green didn't include chapter headers whatsoever, and I'm really happy that he didn't. It would have pulled you out of the story. The reason why is this story is told in a before and after scenario. So most of it is leading up to this big event that you don't know what it is. And then it leaves off from there and tells you what happens after, which a lot of stories don't tell you about. Now, the other thing is the fact that it is told 136 days before whatever it is that happens, straight up to 136 days after it has happened. So you really get to see this growth and development throughout the story. But you see, you also get the variety in the writing, and that comes from some days you could be given a paragraph worth of what happened that day. The next day could be skipped altogether, and then the day after that you could read 3 pages worth of writing for it. So you do get to see a variety in the writing where it doesn't just feel like a diary entry or a journal entry. It actually feels like it is taking place right here and now. And it's not dated with September 13th, 20 so-and-so. It is stated 136 days before. And I really enjoyed that because of the fact that it's not dated to be in a certain period of time. It actually feels very present writing. Now, the next thing I want to go into is the characters. Miles gets nicknamed Pudge in this story, which is hilarious because he's as skinny as a twig. And you also have Colonel and Takumi and Alaska, and they're very well-rounded, well-developed characters. And when I state that, I don't mean that makes them lovable, I'm just stating that it means that they're well done. And they're actually not that lovable as characters, and I think that's due to the fact that most of the parental influence is gone in this story. When they're at school, there is pretty much zero parental influence. And it makes it more interesting because usually you have parental rules you have to abide by, whereas in this story it's more like you have the friend rules you have to abide by, and everyone in the group knows them, and everybody in the group knows if you break them there will be consequences. But the thing is, you also get to see a change in one scene where the Colonel takes Alaska and Pudge back to his mom's trailer for Thanksgiving dinner, and you see how the three of them react and interact with each other when there is a parental influence in the room. Now, John Green's writing has a way to make you feel like this book is very present, yet it takes place in the past. And I don't know how to describe it any more so than that. But he also shows the fact that without these parental influences, the kids basically run rampant doing what they want, such as pranking, even though they know that's not allowed, but they still get away with it. And they smoke, and they drink, and they curse, and they basically do everything that would happen if you didn't have a parent there saying, "What are you doing?" Personally, I really do not like reading books where there is a large, vast amount of swear words and kind of the sexual references, but I understand where John Green was going with it in this story. He was really emphasizing the fact that as young adults, these characters had the decision to do what they wanted to, and they took every opportunity they could. Yes, the story is not only heartbreaking, but it's also that great perhaps. Even before the first page of this story, Miles has already embarked on his great perhaps. He sent that letter to Culver Creek, and he was willing to be accepted or declined. And the minute he got that acceptance, he was already walking in the direction of his great perhaps. I think that was brilliant. Having the story begin with finding out how much Miles wanted this great perhaps, and then making it to the end of the story and finding out that he'd already started his great perhaps. Personally, I have never read a book where the main character hasn't been the main character. Now, let me explain that. Even though Miles is the main character and we get these perspectives from him, and we have quite a large amount of the story, pretty much all of it, but a large amount of it being told just from his point of view before the Colonel and Takumi and Alaska are involved in the story, I feel like the story, the main character of this story, was Alaska Young. It wasn't Miles and his great perhaps and his going to Culver Creek. He was just that little show that you watch with another band before your band, the band that you're paying to go and see, comes on stage. You're listening to him going, okay, I'm following along with you. But then Alaska comes on the scene and you're like, okay, we've made it. We've made it. And I think maybe I'm the only one who feels that way, but I feel like Alaska was the main character of this story, not Pudge. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Again, I would love to discuss it with you, and I've tried to keep this completely spoiler-free. If I have said something that I didn't think was spoilery, but it is, I apologize. Anyway, guys, that's my review of Looking for Alaska by John Green. I will see you in my next video. Until then, go and pick up a random book and read. Bye, guys.